fear of public speaking. That moment when your palms get sweaty, you look out into the audience, you forget everything you had to say, and then you choke. The fear of public speaking is real, and it's time you get over that fear. So if you clicked on this video, you're probably trying to overcome the fear of public speaking. And honestly, I don't blame you for that, because when you get over that fear, a lot of cool things can happen. In my 10 years of coaching people and doing public speaking, I've seen a lot of nervousness and anxiety when it comes to being afraid. I think I have some ways that can help. The first thing to understand if you're afraid of public speaking is that it's okay to be afraid of public speaking. A lot of people are nervous about that, and that's because humans generally don't just stand in front of thousands and maybe even 5 people and give their thoughts and opinions to the world. Just realizing that it's okay to be afraid. And as soon as you realize that it's okay to be nervous and that your nerves are natural and real, you can then start working on the best tactics to actually get over those nerves and those fears. Failure. Failure is one of the most important things you can do on your journey to overcoming the fear of public speaking. And the reason for that is quite simple. The more you fail at public speaking, the more you're not going to be afraid to fail at public speaking anymore. I was about 8 years old, and there was a little community talent show. But this talent show had like 1,000 people, because like everyone in the community decided to show up. And my mom forced me to go on stage and take a microphone and rap the theme song to my favorite show on Nickelodeon at the time, which was Danny Phantom. So I knew all the words. I knew how to dance it out. I knew how to do everything when it came to performing it. I got on stage. I said like the first 5 words, which I think was, "Yo, Danny Phantom, and it's just a teen," something like that. I'm not sure. And then I looked at the crowd. I forgot the words. I dropped the mic and I ran off stage. I went downstairs into like their basement area and I immediately started crying, because I was just like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. I can't believe I just did that. And my mom came downstairs and she was just like, okay, you messed up. That's fine. And that was so important for me, because at a very young age, I experienced failure when it came to public speaking. And subliminally, I just didn't feel afraid anymore of getting in front of an audience. And I noticed that as I started growing up and started doing class presentations where other kids would be super scared, they would be stumbling on their words, and I would just get up and just do it. Like I didn't care. I still don't care. Failure is the best way to get better at public speaking. And it's the harsh truth and it's the harsh reality for a lot of people. A lot of people are like, oh, I can just take some drugs and get over with, or oh, I can just avoid being in those situations. Like, no, you're not going to avoid being in those situations, because public speaking is a lifelong thing no matter what you want to do. And 2, drugs is just like going to suppress your fear. It's not going to solve your fear. The best way to get over it is just to fail. So I would recommend setting up 3 to 5 months, it can even be a year, in which every single week you gather people that you actually care about, or even strangers, and ask them to talk to them for 5 minutes straight about any topic. Record yourself doing it and journal how you feel before and after you actually give those speeches. And then see what your failure feels like. Maybe you didn't give the speech effectively. Maybe you literally couldn't talk. Maybe you started crying afterwards. All of this stuff is ultimately going to inevitably help you get to the point where you can give good public speeches. Public speaking will be in your life in some way, in some capacity for the rest of your life. You'd rather fail now, and maybe in a situation where it doesn't matter as much. Like maybe you don't want to fail in a job interview, but you want to fail talking to a bunch of your friends, so that in that job interview, you're not perfect, but you're a little bit better and you're not going to choke up immediately. Number one reason why people are afraid of public speaking, and the number one reason why public speaking is actually scarier than death to some people, is because of the fear and judgment of what other people think of us. And that's normal. That's real. All of us are afraid of what other people think, no matter how much we want to say we don't care about what other people think, because other people's opinions ultimately affect who we are as individuals, because we're usually living within some type of community and we care about the people in that community. I've seen a lot of harsh cases of anxiety and nervousness, people that are just Like they just can't even gather the words or gather the mindset to be able to give a public speech. And a lot of the times when we reverse engineer and we bring it back and I ask them, what are they afraid of? It usually comes down to what other people think. And that is the scariest thing to me to hear from other people. It's not scary because it's not normal. Like, everyone's afraid of what other people think. The problem is if you let the fears and opinions and thoughts of other people over-determine the ability for you to think for yourself, then you're never really going to get anywhere, not even in public speaking, but in life. Most of the time, people are afraid of public speaking. It's because they're afraid of what everyone in the audience is going to think of them if they mess up, if they choke up on a word, if they disagree with something that they've said. And the problem with that is that it's all inevitable. Can't change that. You can't make 100 people in the audience agree with everything you have to say. You can't stop yourself from choking on some words sometimes. You can't stop yourself from maybe messing up and not saying the words exactly how you said. You can't stop yourself from getting a dry mouth and drinking some water during your speech. Like, you can't stop all of the arbitrary things that people are afraid of when it comes to other people judging them for messing up on stage. You're gonna mess up, and that's okay. Accepting the inevitability of the fact that things are gonna go wrong and just trying to minimize how much of an impact it has on your overall presentation is what's gonna allow you to move on and just worry about presenting and not worry about the fear about presenting. The thing about the flow of a presentation is once you're giving a good presentation and you feel it and you know what you're talking about and you know like how to get the audience to be persuaded and how to interact with them to really get the impact you want, everything becomes simple when it comes to the fear at that point. At that point, it's not about fear. At that point, it's about execution. Execution. And when you execute, things become different because now you're worried about how to go from A to B to C, how to get through the nuances of your speech, how to pause in the right moments, how to say the right things, how to really get the reaction you want. But if you're worried about what other people think in the journey of you on that public speech trying to get the reaction, you're going to fail at getting the reaction, one, and then two, you're going to be so afraid of what other people are thinking of you while you're trying to get the reaction that you're inevitably going to be too afraid to try to get their reaction, to try to give a good public speech. But Amit, how do I stop caring about what other people think? You just stop. That's really the answer. You just stop. It's not that complicated. You just stop. At the point where you just stop, things change. And when things change, it'll feel good. And once you get addicted to how that feels, then you really will start wondering why you ever cared in the first place. There's no imagine the audience in their underwear. I've never done that. I think that's creepy. There is no magic trick. You just have to keep not caring about what other people think. And if you care about what other people think, you have to ask yourself, if we want to really break it down psychologically, what is the terminal impact? Meaning, what is the final thing that can happen by caring about what other people think? They can laugh at you and they might make fun of you, and that's it, right? So when I say it's as simple as not caring about what other people think, it's really a more journey about self-awareness and introspection, about you not caring about other people making fun of you and laughing at you because A, it's probably gonna happen sometime in your life, right? It happens to everyone. And B, it just doesn't matter. It's not gonna change who you are. What's gonna change who you are is you understanding who you are yourself. The beauty of this tip really to me is that once you stop caring about what other people think, the world, your mind, your headspace gets a lot more clear. And if you can do that, forget public speaking, life's gonna be amazing. But giving a public speech, that'll be pretty awesome as well. The art of communication is life's greatest asset outside of time. I think time is beautiful, and I think the ability to communicate is even more beautiful in some instances, because time will one day end. Your time will one day come where you won't be alive anymore, but your ability to communicate can be immortal. The words that you say, the way that you express yourself can live forever, and that's one of the most beautiful things about public speaking.